It all started in a quiet village called Ogboko, where Nneka lived with her mother and younger brother. Nneka was just 20 years old, but her beauty made her stand out among all the girls in the village. Her skin was smooth like fresh palm oil, her eyes sparkled like clean water in the sun, and her smile could melt even the coldest heart. But she was poor. Her mother sold pepper and tomatoes at the market, and her father had died when she was just a small girl. Every morning, Nneka would help her mother fry akara and go from house to house to sell before going to the farm. But deep down inside her heart, she wanted more. She didn't want to suffer like her mother. She dreamed of wearing fine clothes, driving big cars, and living in a big house in Lagos. She would often sit under the mango tree near her house and stare into the sky, asking God, when will my own miracle come? One sunny afternoon, a miracle arrived, but it didn't wear white. It wore Gucci slippers, dark sunglasses, and a smile that was too perfect to be true. His name was Raymond. He came into the village in a black Range Rover that raised dust and turned heads. He said he was from Lagos, but his late grandfather was from Ogoko, and he came to donate money to fix the village borehole. The elders welcomed him like a king. Raymond didn't look like someone who belonged in a village. He looked like a music video. Nneka saw him at the market, and for a moment she thought he was a movie star. Their eyes met briefly and her heart jumped. She quickly looked away, pretending not to be interested, but Raymond had noticed her. He asked one of the boys selling recharge cards about her, and that same evening he came to buy akara from her mother. From that day, Raymond started visiting their house every morning. He would sit under the tree, gist with her mother, and laugh at every small joke like it was the funniest thing ever. He brought gifts, rice, indomie, wrappers, and even money. Her mother was impressed. My daughter, this is not like one of those village boys. Don't lose him, oh, she would whisper. Nneka tried to resist at first, but it was like trying to stop rain with an umbrella full of holes. Raymond was charming, sweet, and very generous. One day he held her hand and said, Nneka, I want to change your life. I want to take you to Lagos. You deserve more than this. She looked into his eyes and saw everything she had ever prayed for. She nodded slowly. That night, she packed her small bag, hugged her mother and brother, and left the village with Raymond. Lagos was louder, brighter, and faster than anything she has ever imagined. Raymond's house was not just big, it was a mansion in Lekki. The floors were marble, the curtains were gold, and the kitchen looked like it came out of a TV show. She couldn't believe her eyes. This is now your home, Raymond said, kissing her forehead. He bought her clothes, phones, makeup, and even hired a personal star. Nneka became a city girl overnight. She posted pictures on Instagram with captions like "From grass to grace" and "God did it." Everyone back in the village thought she had hit jackpot. Even her mother started bragging about her daughter who married a billionaire. But slowly, things started to change. Raymond began traveling a lot. He said it was business. Sometimes he wouldn't come back home for 2 or 3 days. Then he changed the password to the Wi-Fi and said she was using too much data. One night, she found a lipstick stain on one of his shirts. When she asked him, he laughed and said, That's old. You worry too much. Soon, he stopped giving her money and said, Must I pay for everything? You're not a baby. Nneka didn't complain. She cooked his food, cleaned the house, and waited for him like a loyal wife. But the love she once saw in his eyes was now cold, like rainy season water. One day, Raymond told her, We need to keep a low profile. Don't post our pictures online again. He took down all their pictures from his social media and unfollowed her. Her heart broke in pieces. Nneka cried herself to sleep that night, but the worst was yet to come. A few weeks later, she was at home when the gate opened and a woman stormed in, shouting, Where is that village witch? Where is that girl sleeping with my husband? Before Nneka could even speak, the woman grabbed her hair and pulled her down. It was chaos. Raymond entered and tried to separate them. Baby, calm down. I can explain, told the woman, but she wasn't listening. Explain what? That you brought a bush girl into our matrimonial home? Raymond, I will destroy you. Nneka sat on the floor, shocked. Your wife? She whispered. Raymond looked at her and said, it's not what you think, but it was exactly what she thought. He was married, and not just married. His wife was a powerful woman in Lagos society. Everything he told Nneka was fake. The house wasn't even his, it belonged to his wife. All the money he was spending came from her. Nneka was thrown out of the house that night. No money, no bag, just tears. She slept at a bus stop in Lekki using a wrapper as cover. The next morning, someone stole her phone while she was sleeping. She had nothing left. She walked from Lekki to CMS barefoot. People stared, but she didn't care. Her heart was broken beyond repair. At the park, she met a woman named Sister Ruth, who ran a small soup kitchen for homeless girls. Sister Ruth took her in, gave her food, clothes, and even helped her get a job as a cleaner in a church office. Slowly, Ineka started finding herself again. She worked hard, saved money, and stayed out of trouble. She didn't trust men anymore. She kept her head down and focused on building her life. After 1 year, she saved enough money to rent a one-room apartment in Ikorodu. One day, while cleaning the church office, a man named Daniel walked in. He was quiet, polite, and always said thank you with a smile. He worked as a graphic designer for the church. He didn't drive a big car or wear designer clothes, but he treated everyone with respect. Daniel noticed how hardworking Nneka was. He asked her to help him with some small office tasks and paid her more than a cleaning salary. They started spending time together, going for evening prayers and church programs. Nneka was scared to fall again, but Daniel didn't rush her. He said, real love doesn't force, it waits. One evening, after choir rehearsal, he looked at her and said, I know you've been through a lot, but I want you to know you are not broken, you are special, and I will never take you for granted. Tears filled her eyes. It was the first time someone saw her for who she truly was, not for her body or beauty or background, but her heart. They started a small business together, selling akara bags and handmade crafts. They posted their products on Instagram, and to our surprise, people loved them. Others started coming in, and before long, they opened a shop. Years passed, and Nneka grew from a heartbroken village girl to a successful entrepreneur. She forgave Raymond not because he deserved it, but because she deserved peace. She learned to trust again, to love again, and to rise again. Raymond, on the other hand, lost everything. His wife divorced him and exposed his fake lifestyle online. His so-called friends abandoned him, and the last Nneka had, he was driving boats to survive. Nneka didn't laugh, she didn't celebrate, she just whispered, God, thank you for saving me. She married Daniel in a simple but beautiful wedding. No flashy cars, no celebrities, just love, peace, and joy. And on her wedding day, standing beside the man who truly loved her, Nneka smiled and said to herself, he promised me heaven, but took me to hell. But God brought me back, and now I know what real heaven feels like. Even after the marriage, Nneka could hardly believe that peace had finally found her. There were still days she woke up sweating, afraid it was all a dream, that somehow she was back in Lekki, back in Raymond's house, living that lie again. But every time she looked over at Daniel, gentle, patient, and kind, she would smile and thank God silently. They didn't have much, but their love was strong, honest, and peaceful. Daniel always reminded her, let's grow together, not pretend together. They rented a small two-bedroom flat in Aja, decorated it with second-hand furniture, and even painted the walls together one Saturday morning while dancing to old-school Nigerian love songs. Their business also began to grow. From just an Instagram page and small corner shop, Ineka's touch turned into something bigger. Influencers started tagging them. Celebrities began ordering bags, and a famous fashion blogger even featured them in her YouTube vlog. It was like a dream she never dared to dream. But with growth came pressure. They had to hire more workers. They opened a second outlet in Surulere. Nneka was handling designs and customer care. Daniel was running logistics and printing. They were busy, but they were building a life together. Then came the pregnancy. It was unexpected but joyful. When Nneka showed Daniel the test strip, he dropped his phone and screamed, Jesus! Then he hugged her so tightly she almost couldn't breathe. They both laughed and cried that night. They weren't rich yet, but they had love. And now, a child on the way. But trouble doesn't always knock. Sometimes it just walks in without warning. One evening while scrolling through Instagram DMs to respond to customer orders, Nneka saw a familiar name, Raymond. At first her heart skipped. She wanted to delete it immediately, but curiosity gripped her. She clicked. Hi, Nneka. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but please, I need help. I'm dying. Please. Her hands began to shake. She showed Daniel. He frowned and said, Ignore him. But something in her heart was unsettled. 3 days passed. Raymond messaged again. I'm not asking for money. Just come see me. I'm sorry for everything. I just need peace. Daniel was against it. This is the same man who left you stranded, disgraced and broke. He's manipulating you again. Nneka agreed and deleted the chat. But that night, she couldn't sleep. Memories of her past kept flashing. She finally replied, Where are you? He sent the address, an old dirty building in Ajegule. Nneka didn't tell Daniel. She wore a loose gown and took a bike. The place was dusty, crowded and smelled of poverty. Raymond was living in one small room. No fan, no mattress, just a mat on the floor. He had lost so much weight. His cheeks were sunken and his hands shook when he tried to pour water. She stood at the door, arms crossed. So, this is your heaven? Raymond looked up, eyes watery. Nneka, I don't even deserve for you to look at me, but thank you for coming. She walked in slowly, looked around and sat on a broken plastic chair. Raymond coughed. Life has punished me. My wife left. EFCC seized everything. I don't even have my car again. I sleep hungry most nights. Nneka said nothing. She just stared. I don't want pity, he said. I just want you to forgive me. Not because I deserve it, but because I can't sleep at night. Nneka looked at him, took a deep breath and said, I forgave you a long time ago, but don't ever think I'm here to fix you. I have my own family now. Raymond nodded slowly. Thank you. You are the strongest woman I know. Nneka stood up. May God help you. She left without turning back. The moment she stepped out of that house, she felt a weight lift from her chest. It was like cutting the last tie between her and the past. She went straight home and told Daniel everything. He was quiet for a while, then nodded. I don't like that you went behind me, but I'm glad you came back whole. They hugged. No shouting, no drama, just understanding. Weeks passed and Nneka gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. They named her Chizaram. God answered me. Life got even better. They started exporting their handmade bags. They hired village girls from places like Ogboko, trained them, paid them well, and even sent some to school. Nneka remembered her own journey and made sure no girl who worked for her ever felt used or unvalued. She built her mother a house in Ogboko, tiled floors, borehole, generator, everything. Her mother cried the day Nneka showed her. I thought you were finished after that boy broke you, but look at you now. See how God lifted you. She also set up a foundation to support single mothers and abandoned girls. Every Saturday, she taught them business skills, gave them starter kits, and told them her story, not to shame Raymond, but to remind them that pain doesn't have to be the end. Years passed. Dania and Nneka built their own house. They had two more kids, twins this time. They still prayed together every morning, still danced in the kitchen while cooking, and still held hands at night before sleeping. But one day, something strange happened. She got a call from Sister Ruth, the same woman who took her in when she was homeless. My dear, there is a girl here. She reminds me of you, young, pregnant, and thrown out by her boyfriend. Her name is Ifunaya. She says she has nowhere to go. Nneka didn't hesitate. Send her to me. When Ifunanya arrived, she looked scared, tired and broken, just like Nneka once was. Nneka smiled and said, "Welcome home. You are safe now." Ifunanya stayed in Nneka's home for months. At first, she was quiet, barely spoke and barely ate. But Nneka didn't force her. She let her be. Every morning, she would leave food at her door, check her blood pressure, and sometimes sit beside her silently. Slowly, Ifunanya began to open up. She was just 19. Her boyfriend had promised to marry her after NYSC. He got her pregnant and then disappeared. His parents denied knowing her, and her uncle kicked her out of the house. She had been sleeping in uncompleted buildings before Sister Ruth found her. One night, as Nneka sat with her under the mango tree in their compound, Ifunanya broke down. "Auntie, I feel useless, like my life is finished." Nneka placed her hand gently on hers. "I once felt like that too, but look at me now. Sometimes the fire you go through is what cooks your greatness." She smiled, and for the first time in weeks, Ifunanya smiled too. When her baby came, a healthy baby boy, Nneka helped her register him. They called him Ebuka. God is mighty. Ifunanya eventually became part of the business. She had sharp eyes for fashion and started designing new Ankara bag patterns that went viral. Customers would ask, "Who made this?" And Nneka would proudly say, "Ifunanya." But while her home and business blossomed, not everyone was happy. Trouble started from one of their staff, Chinyere. She was talented but jealous. She had always believed she deserved more recognition than she was getting. And when she found out that Ifunanya was once homeless, she began gossiping to others, saying, "Madam don carry street girl come take over." One day, Nneka overheard Chinyere mocking Ifunanya to another staff, calling her baby mama that is mommy boss. Nneka called a meeting the next day. Her voice was calm but firm. "In this company, we do not mock people's past. If you cannot respect others here, you can leave. We rise by lifting others." Chinyere was embarrassed. She resigned the following week, but not without drama. She opened a fake Instagram page and began spreading lies about Nneka. She posted photoshopped pictures of Daniel with another woman, claiming he was cheating. She said Nneka was using juju to control her staff. She even accused her of stealing designs. The page went viral. People started commenting, gossip blogs picked it up, and fake stories spread like Hamatan fire. Nneka's heart sank. Daniel was furious. He wanted to go online and respond, but she stopped him. "Let God fight this battle." They prayed, they waited, then something unexpected happened. A popular media house reached out to Nneka and asked to interview her about the controversy. Many people told her not to do it, but she said yes. On live TV, dressed simply and gracefully, she told her full story. From the village days to Raymond's betrayal, from being homeless to becoming a business owner. She cried, she laughed, and she ended with a powerful message. Don't let your pain define you, let it build you. The interview broke the internet. People who once doubted her began to admire her. The gossip blogs that spread lies posted apologies. Her followers doubled overnight, others tripled, and even more people wanted to support her foundation. But something else happened that shook her deeply. One Sunday afternoon, her mother called from Ogboko, voice trembling. "Nneka, come home. It's your brother, Ugo. He's missing." She dropped the phone. Ugo had gone to write WAEC in another village but never returned. They searched every bush path, called all his friends, even checked hospitals. Nothing. For days, Nneka didn't eat. She couldn't breathe. Her little brother, her only sibling, was missing. Daniel took her home. They printed flyers, called radio stations, and promised a reward. Still, no word. On the fifth day, they received a call from a strange number. A harsh voice said, "If you want to see Hugo again, send 1.5 million. Don't involve police." Nneka froze. Kidnappers? She and Danny emptied their accounts. Within hours, they paid. They waited in fear, and just before dawn the next day, Ugo was dropped off on the village road, dirty, shaking, but alive. He cried into Nneka's chest. They beat me, they tied me like goats. I thought I would die. She didn't say anything. She just held him tightly, her tears falling like rain. That week, she made a vow to build a security training center in the village to help teach young boys and girls how to protect themselves and others. No sibling should ever go through what Ugu faced. Back in Lagos, business returned to normal, but something had changed in Nneka. She was now fiercer, more intentional. She began partnering with local police, training her workers on safety, even funding free self-defense classes for teenage girls in public schools. Then came a knock on her office door one Thursday morning that would take her life in a new direction. A representative from a global fashion company based in France had seen her interview online and wanted to collaborate with her brand. They wanted her handmade bags to be displayed at their international fashion event in Paris. At first, she thought it was a scam. But it was real. They flew her out, paid for everything. She stood on the runway stage holding her bags as thousands clapped. In that moment, Nneka remembered the dusty road in Ogboko, the akara tray, the broken heart and the lonely lights at the bus stop, and she whispered again, God, thank you for saving me. When Nneka returned to Nigeria from Paris, the reception was massive. Journalists were waiting at the airport, bloggers posted her pictures, and TV stations begged for interviews. Even people who once ignored her now sent congratulatory messages. In less than 48 hours, the hashtag Ineka's Touch Global was trending across Nigeria's social media. But for Nneka, the real joy wasn't in the fame or headlines. It was in how far she had come. From a village girl frying akara to standing on a global fashion stage, it felt like a dream wrapped in mercy. She called a staff meeting at her office the following week and did something unexpected. She gave all her workers a surprise bonus and promoted Ifunaya to creative director. Everyone clapped and shouted, but Ifunaya cried silently. Auntie, this is too much. Nneka smiled. You deserve it. You rose from pain and still stood strong. Now help others rise too. Their company expanded faster than anyone imagined. They opened outlets in Abuja, Port Harcourt, and even started a training center for girls who wanted to learn fashion and bag making. The Nneka's Touch Foundation became one of the most talked about social projects in Nigeria. Even international donors started contributing. But more blessings also meant more eyes watching. One day, while Nneka was reviewing a partnership proposal in her office, Daniel rushed in looking worried. You need to see this. He handed her a letter. It was from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. They were being audited. Nneka blinked. What? But we pay tax. Yes, but someone reported us anonymous. They are saying we've been laundering money through the foundation. Nneka froze. Laundry care. Who would even say such a thing? The audit lasted weeks. Officers visited the office, requested receipts, questioned staff and even froze their accounts briefly. Nneka broke down. She had worked so hard to build everything honestly. Why was this happening now? One night, while going through old staff records, Daniel noticed something strange. Chinyere, the same former staff who spread gossip years ago, had been running a small foundation of her own on their donor list. The same man who reported them, an ex-politician. It became clear Chinyere was behind the whole thing. She had teamed up with corrupt people, hoping to bring down Nneka so her brand would shine. But Nneka didn't fight her publicly. Instead, she gathered all the evidence, gave it to her lawyer, and let the law speak. Weeks later, the audit ended. They found zero illegal activity. The foundation's account was unfrozen, and the FIRS issued a formal apology. Blogs that once doubted her now posted headlines like Nneka's name cleared and from accused to victorious. To celebrate, she organized a free fashion and empowerment seminar for young women across Lagos. Over 1,000 girls attended. That evening, as she stood on stage, Nneka smiled and said, "Let your hands be clean even when others throw dirt. The truth will always shine." Back at home, her children were growing. Chizaram was already in primary school, and the twins were now running round the house, scattering toys and spilling cereal. Daniel, ever supportive, took over school runs and bedtime stories even when tired. Their love had become deeper, not just romantic, but rooted in friendship and respect. But just when Ineka thought life was finally smooth, another shock arrived. Her phone rang one afternoon. It was a strange number. She picked. "Hello, is this Mrs. Ineka Daniel?" "Yes, who is this?" "I'm sorry to inform you. Sister Ruth has passed away." Nneka gasped. "What?" "She had a heart attack yesterday. She didn't survive." Nneka dropped the phone and broke into tears. The woman who once took her in off the streets, gone. She traveled to Ikoyi that same day. At the small home where Sister Ruth used to live, other girls were crying too. Some she didn't know, some she had helped without realizing. Sister Ruth had planted many seeds, and now Nneka felt it was time to water them. She took over the shelter officially and renamed it Ruth Haven. She expanded it, hired full-time counselors, doctors and skill trainers. Every girl who walked in there would find hope, just like she once did. One afternoon, while going through Sister Ruth's old things, Nneka found a box filled with letters, testimonies from girls whose lives had been changed. She wept while reading them. On top of the letters was a short note written in Sister Ruth's handwriting. "Nneka, I knew you would come full circle. Keep building even when it hurts." That note stayed in her wallet from that day on. But while she was expanding good works in Lagos, something unexpected happened back in the village. A group of rich investors came to Ogboko, saying they wanted to buy a large portion of land and build a factory. The elders were excited. They said it would bring jobs and development, but there was a catch. The land they wanted included the plot Nneka had gifted the village to build a girls' secondary school, the same land where she was planning to launch her Nneka Girls Academy. Her mother called her crying, "My daughter, they want to sell everything. They say school is not important, only jobs." Nneka didn't waste time. She flew to the village with Daniel and her team. She called a meeting with the elders and presented her full plan: a school with dormitories, free uniforms, computers and a library. The elders were divided. Some said education didn't feed families. Others argued that factories brought progress. Nneka took the mic and said, "If we sell the land now, our daughters will still be housemates in those factories tomorrow. But if we educate them, they will own the factories one day." There was silence. One woman stood up. "Let her build the school. Let the girls have a chance." The village clapped. The land was secured. Nneka returned to Lagos and began the school project with full force. Architects were hired, builders came, donations poured in from around the world. Even the Ministry of Education noticed and offered support. During the foundation laying ceremony, Nneka wore a simple blue dress and stood beside her mother and children. The village danced, women jubilated, and Nneka whispered again, "From Akara to Academy, God, you are too much." The project in Ogboko moved quickly. Within 6 months, the school building stood tall, painted white and sky blue. Nneka Girls Academy was boldly written on the front wall. Inside, there were classrooms with whiteboards, fans, and even computers powered by solar panels. Girls from nearby villages began registering, excited to finally get quality education without leaving home. During the official school opening, Nneka gave a powerful speech. "This school is not just for learning, it is a symbol of what is possible. When one girl is empowered, a whole village rises." The video of her speech went viral again. Government officials, NGOs, and international agencies started reaching out. They called her Nigeria's Oprah, and magazines wanted to feature her life story, but Nneka remained humble. Every time she spoke, she gave the glory to God and thanked Daniel as silent backbone. Life was sweet and peace flowed like a river. But as they say, peace can be in the quiet just before a storm. One Sunday morning after church, Daniel received a call that changed everything. Hello, is this Mr. Daniel? Yes. This is Inspector Gamble from the Special Crimes Unit. We need you to come in for questioning. Daniel paused. Questioning for what? It's about a fraud case connected to a printing contract under your name. Daniel froze. Later that day, they both went to the station. The moment they arrived, Daniel was separated from Nneka. She waited for hours. Finally, he was brought out in handcuffs. Her heart nearly stopped. Daniel, what's going on? He couldn't speak. The officer explained. He's been accused of collecting 12 million naira for a printing contract from a university and failing to deliver. Nneka was confused. But we don't even do printing jobs anymore. They seized Daniel's phone and laptop. It was chaos. Lawyers got involved. The news leaked online. Nneka's husband in fraud scandal went viral. Enemies began to whisper, fake love, fake life. For days, Nneka couldn't sleep. Daniel was detained for a week. When he finally got bail, he came home quiet and broken. Babe, he said, I don't even know how this happened. That contract was real, but someone changed the bank details after I submitted my invoice. Nneka believed him. She had watched this man sacrifice his pride, carry their kids, wash plates, and support her even when he was tired. He was not a thief. They launched a private investigation. What they found shocked them. The fraud had been committed by someone inside the university who used Daniel's old company name to collect the money and divert it. They framed Daniel by forging email trails and documents. The real criminal, a former associate of Raymond. It all made sense. Raymond, now broke and bitter, had reconnected with the wrong people and was spreading chaos quietly from the shadows. The man had nothing to lose anymore. Nneka comforted him. She visited him again, this time not with pity, but with power. Raymond, she said, why are you doing this? He looked tired, weak, but his eyes still burned with spite. You think you have won? You think you are better than me now? Ineka said calmly, I don't need to be better than you. I just want you to stop pulling others down. Raymond laughed bitterly. You took everything from me. The life I should have had, you are living it now. She shook her head. No, I built mine. You lied for yours. She walked away. 2 months later, the real criminal was caught. Daniel was cleared and all charges were dropped. The police even issued an apology. Bloggers posted updates. Ineka's husband vindicated. But the stress took a toll on Daniel. He became quiet, withdrawn. He started questioning everything. Nneka, I'm just your shadow now. You shine, I follow. What am I really doing? Nneka tried to comfort him. You are my strength, my partner. But Daniel needed more. So she surprised him. She told him, let's build your dream too. What's that one thing you've always wanted? He looked shocked. Photography. I always wanted to tell stories with pictures. So Nneka funded it. Not just with money, but with time, love, and attention. They launched Dan View Studios, a storytelling and documentary brand. Daniel traveled across Nigeria, capturing stories of local heroes, village culture, and unsung legends. In just 1 year, his documentary, The Forgotten Drummers of Kwara, won an award at African Film Festival. He smiled like a child the day they handed him the trophy. Thank you, Nneka, for believing. Back at home, their children were growing fast. Chizaram won a spelling bee and wanted to become a lawyer. The twins loved music. Ifunaya's son Ebuka called Daniel daddy and saw Nneka as his true mother. It was a full house, a full life. But in the middle of all this joy, something happened that shook Nneka more than anything else ever had. She went for a routine checkup one morning, just a normal doctor's appointment, but the doctor frowned after looking at her blood test results. Madam, you need to do more tests. She did them, they waited. 3 days later, the doctor called her back. Nneka, he said gently, we found a lump. We need to do a biopsy. It could be breast cancer. The room spun. She told no one yet, not Daniel, not her staff, just God. At night she would pray silently, Lord, if this is my journey, hold my hand. When the results came back, the doctor looked at her and said, it's early stage, we can treat it, but you will need to start immediately. She broke the news to Daniel, and for the first time in their marriage, he cried uncontrollably. You can't leave me, he kept whispering. But Nneka was strong. She shaved her hair before the chemo could take it. She smiled through the pain. She still sent voice notes to her workers, encouraged girls at the foundation, and kissed her kids every morning. The media never found out. She kept it private. Months passed. The treatment worked. The cancer was gone. And once again, she stood tall, bold, but beautiful. Scars, but smiling. One evening, she stood in her garden looking at the sky. Daniel came behind her. What are you thinking? She whispered. That maybe Raymond did take me to hell. But you, Daniel, you brought me to heaven. The garden became Nneka's new favorite place. After surviving cancer, something in her changed. She began to live slower, to breathe deeper, to love even harder. The grass felt softer, the birds sounded louder, and her children's laughter meant everything. But peace didn't last long. One evening, while going through drawer of old files, she found something strange. A hidden envelope labeled private. It wasn't hers, it was Daniel's handwriting. Curious but respectful, she left it alone. But that night, the weight of her curiosity was too heavy. She picked it up, sat by the reading table, and opened it. Inside were letters. Not just any letters. Letters Daniel had written to another woman before they met. They weren't love letters, but they were deep, full of pain, guilt, regrets. Then she saw the name, Tonya. That name rang a bell. Where had she heard it before? The next day, she gently asked Daniel, who is Tonya? His expression changed instantly. He looked away. Where did you see that name? I found a letter in your drawer. Daniel stood up, walked to the window, silent for a moment. Then he sighed. Tonya was my fiancée before I met you. Nneka sat still. She died in a car accident 3 months before her wedding. Have never spoken about it, not even to my parents. I blamed myself. Nneka got up and held his hand. You should have told me. I was scared, he said. I thought if you knew, you would see me differently, that I was still broken. She smiled. You are not broken. You are healed, and you helped heal me too. That night, Daniel brought out a small wooden box he had kept hidden. Inside was Tonia's picture. Nneka held it gently and said a quiet prayer. Not for jealousy, not for fear, but for peace, for closure. They buried the memory together under a small tree in their compound. Daniel placed a white stone over it and whispered, Thank you for loving me and letting me love again. Weeks passed. Chizaram's school called to say she had qualified for an international scholarship to the UK. Nneka was overjoyed. They threw a small party at home. Families, neighbors, and foundation girls came with gifts. There was jollof rice, grilled fish, soft drinks, and a DJ playing Nigerian love songs. As they danced, Nneka paused and looked around. From the pain of the past had grown a tribe of love, laughter, and legacy. But again, the storm came quietly. It started with Ifunaya. She had fallen in love with a young man named Kine, a soft-spoken artist who volunteered at Roots Haven. He was quiet and patient, but something about him didn't sit right with Daniel. He's too smooth, Daniel whispered one night. Something about him feels off. Nneka trusted Ifunaya's judgment, but she kept one eye open. One day, Ifunaya came home crying. What happened? Nneka asked, holding her close. Kene is gone. Gone? He told me he was going to buy art materials. He never came back. His number is switched off. His studio is empty. Daniel began making calls. In less than 48 hours, they discovered the truth. Kene was not an artist. His real name was Ken Uzochukwu. a known scammer who had been arrested twice for fraud and identity theft. He had disappeared with foundation funds, 5 million naira meant for a new training center. Ifunaya collapsed. It's my fault. I trusted him. Nneka knelt beside her. It's not your fault. Evil people lie to good people every day, but this is not your end. Police launched a manhunt, but Kene vanished like smoke. The money was gone, and Ifunaya fell into depression. She stopped eating, stopped working, stayed in bed for days. Nneka sat with her, read her Bible stories, reminded her of her strength. One day, Ifunaya said, Maybe I'm not meant for love. Nneka replied, Love hurt you, but love also saved you. My love for you, Daniel's love for you, your son's love. Love is still here. That evening, Ifunaya got up, took a bath, ate rice and stew. It was the beginning of healing. Together, they restarted the training center, even better than before. This time, they named it the Rebuild Room, a space for girls who were not just homeless but heartbroken. The opening ceremony drew attention again. Government agencies, women's groups, and NGOs showed up. The Commissioner for Women Affairs gave Nneka a plaque that read, To the woman who turned betrayal into blessing. As she held the plaque, tears streamed down her face. But the final twist of her story was still coming. One day, her phone rang, a number she hadn't seen in years. It was Raymond's wife, the same woman who once dragged her by the hair. Hello? Ineka said. Hi, it's me, Chinwe. Ineka blinked. Oh, hello. I know this is strange, but I need your help. My help? It's about Raymond. Ineka hesitated. He's sick, badly sick, liver failure. The doctor says he may not survive, but he keeps saying he wants to see you one last time. Ineka was silent for a long moment. Then she said softly, Send the address. That evening, she visited the hospital. Raymond lay on the bed, pale, weak, barely able to talk. When he saw her, he tried to smile. You came. She nodded. Yes. I'm sorry, he whispered. I ruined everything. Even after you forgave me, I tried to destroy you again. But you kept rising. He reached for her hand. She took it. I don't deserve this, he whispered. No, she said. You don't, but mercy isn't earned, it's given. A tear rolled down his cheek. Thank you for being better than me. He died 2 days later. Nneka didn't cry. She just closed her eyes and prayed that his soul would find rest. She attended the burial quietly with Daniel by her side, not as a widow, not as a victim, but as a woman fully healed. Back home, she stood before her staff, her family, and her girls. I have lived many lives in one. I have tasted heaven. I have walked through hell. I have been loved and lied to. But through it all, God never left me. A standing ovation followed. She had survived betrayal, shame, loss, sickness, and scandal, but she had built schools, saved souls, healed hearts, raised leaders, and found true love. Now she was ready for the next chapter, one she would write on her own terms, not as the girl Raymond broke, but as the woman God rebuilt. Months after Raymond's death, a calm settled over Ineka's life, like the cool breeze after heavy rain. Her days became peaceful and purposeful. Mornings with the children, work with the foundation, evening prayers with Daniel, and late night calls with her team. But life was far from boring. Her story continued to travel. An international publishing house offered to publish her biography. At first, she was unsure. I'm not a celebrity, she said, but they insisted. You are the voice millions of girls are waiting for. So she began writing. She told it all, her village, life, the betrayal, Lagos, the lies, the heartbreak, the healing, and the rebirth. Every page bled truth. Every chapter dripped with grace. When the book, titled From Ashes to Glory, launched, it sold out in days. Book clubs in London, Ghana, South Africa, and even Canada started reading it. Ineka was invited to speak at women conferences, youth summits, and empowerment events. One day, While addressing an auditorium of 2,000 girls in Accra, she paused mid speech. She looked around and said, "Do not let pain silence you. Let it sharpen your voice. I was not saved to sit quiet. I was saved to help save others." The room erupted in cheers. Some girls cried, some knelt and prayed, others shouted Nneka, Nneka. But behind the light, a new shadow lurked. One morning, as she was reviewing designs with Ifunaya, her assistant ran in breathless. "Madam, come and see." On the office TV, a news headline was flashing. "Massive fashion scam uncovered. Foundation linked to fraud ring." The reporter said a fake online fashion school had scammed over 200 girls using Nneka's name and logo. They collected 50,000 from each girl, promising certified training by Nneka's touch. Nneka was shocked. "That's not us," she cried, but the damage had begun. Angry victims flooded her Instagram with insults. "You scammed us, God will punish you, so you are fake too." Daniel, calm but firm, stepped in. "This is cybercrime. We must go after them legally." Nneka and her lawyer launched a full investigation. What they found shook her to the core. The website, the social media pages, even the contact numbers were traced to one of her former trusted staff, a man named Jide. He had worked in IT and graphics years ago. She had even paid for his wedding. Jide had stolen the logo, cloned the site and built the scam from the inside, pretending to still work for her. When they arrested him, he said, "She forgot me. Everyone clapped for Ifunaya. What about me? I was there too." Nneka was speechless. They pressed charges, but the damage online continued. Fake blogs twisted the story. Nneka's empire built on scam. Village girl turned fraud queen. Dani and Ifunanya begged her to release a public video, but Nneka chose silence, not weakness, strategy. She reached out personally to every victim, refunded their money, sent apology letters even though it wasn't her fault, and then she organized a free training boot camp in 4 states to prove her mission was still pure. That move shut the mouths of her enemies. The media flipped. Nneka restores hope. The comeback queen. But the real victory was in the girls' faces, smiling again, dreaming again. Then came an unexpected opportunity. The United Nations Women's Initiative invited her to speak at their headquarters in New York. They wanted her to represent African women in fashion and education. It was a massive honor. She flew out with Daniel and Ifunaya, standing on that big blue stage in front of cameras and world leaders. Nneka wore a simple Ankara dress sewn by one of her foundation girls. She told her story, but this time she told it boldly, without pain in her voice, without tears, just strength. When she ended with, "God took me through hell, but he never left me there," the entire room gave her a standing ovation. Back home, her village erupted with celebration. They painted the town square. Women danced with wrappers tied around their waists. Kids sang, "Our sister is now global." The governor visited her school and announced that the state would replicate her model in 10 more villages. Daniel built a documentary about her life, "The Fire That Forged Her," premiered in cinemas and streamed online. It won 4 awards and earned Daniel a spot on a global panel for African storytellers. They were flying high, but they stayed grounded. Nneka still swept the shop floor sometimes, still corrected typos in product labels, still packed lunchboxes for her kids. But one day, something happened that reminded her how far she had come. She went to the village for a school inspection. As she walked through the small market, a teenage girl ran up to her, barefoot, holding a torn jotter. "Auntie, Auntie Nneka." She turned. The girl knelt and said, "You don't know me, but I read your book. I started my own small hair business. The jotter has all my customers. I want to be like you." Nneka knelt too, held the girl's face. "You will be better than me," she said. Much better. That night she cried again. Not from pain, from purpose, but the world wasn't done with her yet. She was invited to contest in the National Women of Impact Awards. Finalists would be announced live, and the winner would get a national grant to expand their project across Africa. Nneka didn't care for awards, but her team encouraged her. This agreed. The day came, cameras everywhere. Her dress was made by a former street girl turned designer. As she stood backstage, breathing deeply, a voice whispered, "You are not worthy of this." She turned. It was a familiar face, Chinyere. Yes, her old jealous staff. She was now one of the contestants too, dressed in a flashy gown, fake smile, holding a microphone. "I'm glad you came," Chinyere said. "So when I win, you'll clap for me." Nneka didn't flinch. "May the best woman win." And then the show began. The lights dimmed, and the host's voice echoed through the grand auditorium. "Tonight we celebrate the strength, courage, and vision of women changing Africa. Out of thousands, only three finalists remain." Nneka sat quietly, palms slightly damp but her heart calm. Her name was already enough, her journey already a trophy. Chinyere, on the other hand, smiled confidently, waving as the camera panned to her. She had created a women's fashion startup called Empower Style and rebranded herself as a youth mentor. But many knew her truth and history with Nneka. The host continued, "Our first runner-up, with astounding work in youth empowerment and creative fashion, Ms. Chinyere Ume." Polite applause followed. Chinyere stood, waved again, but her smile was stiff. She didn't win. Nneka could feel her glare like hot pepper behind her. "And now," the host said, "the winner of this year's Women of Impact Award for building lives, inspiring millions, and turning personal tragedy into global hope." The room went silent. "Nneka Daniel!" The hall erupted. People stood. Some wept. Some screamed. Daniel ran up to Olga. Ifunanya cried into her palm. As Nneka walked to the stage, her mind flashed back. The Akara tray, the bus stop in Lekki, the broken dreams, Raymond's betrayal, the stolen money, the chemo pain. And now she stood in front of world leaders and young girls, watching across Africa, a symbol of grace. She took the mic, steady and shocked. "I dedicate this award to the girl who once told it was nothing, and to every girl out there still struggling to believe she's something. You don't need to be born into wealth or fame to change the world. You just need courage, love, and faith." That speech became one of the most shared clips on Nigeria's social media for a whole month. But the award wasn't just a title, it came with real support. The government launched a full partnership with her foundation. She was given 500 million in funding, and her model was adopted across 20 African countries. Her story became a curriculum in girls' schools. And then came the ultimate invitation. The Hofra Winning Network sent an email. They wanted to interview Nneka live. At first, she couldn't believe it. She showed Daniel, "This must be a prank." He smiled. "This is favor, not prank." She flew to the US with her team. The set was bright, clean, with Oprah seated in a classic calm posture. The interview was deep. Oprah asked her about the betrayal, the heartbreak, the moments she wanted to give up. Nneka answered everything honestly, but one moment broke even Oprah. Nneka said, "The day I was thrown out of that house in Lekki, barefoot and ashamed, I thought I would die. But God used that pain to birth a purpose bigger than anything I ever dreamed." Oprah wiped a tear. "You are a force." The interview aired globally. CNN, BBC, and Al Jazeera covered it. She got over 3 million followers in 1 week. International brands offered her ambassadorships. Universities asked her to teach guest courses. The Nigeria president invited her to Aso Rock for a national honor. But through it all, Nneka stayed grounded. She still attended midweek service at her church in Lagos, still knelt beside her children at night, still packed eba and okra soup for Daniel's lunch. And then, on the 10th anniversary of her foundation, She held the biggest event of her life, the Rebuild Summit. Women from over 30 countries came. Past victims she once helped now returned as CEOs, doctors, stylists, lawyers, and mothers. Ifunanya gave a powerful speech. My life was finished until Auntie Nneka touched me. I used to sleep in dust. Now I sleep in peace. I was once broken, but now I build. The crowd stood. Then a special surprise was revealed, a documentary titled She Walked Through Fire. It told Nneka's story, narrated by Daniel, filmed by her own children, featuring the village, Raymond's betrayal, Sister Ruth's soup shop and her global rise. People wept, girls screamed, sponsors donated millions before the event ended. But there was one more twist, a final moment Nneka never expected. As she stepped down from the stage, her mother, now older but still strong, hauled her aside and handed her a small torn paper from years ago. Nneka opened it. It was the original prayer she wrote at 15 under the mango tree. Dear God, I don't want to be poor forever. Help me. Give me one more chance. I promise I'll bless others. She froze. Tears ran down her cheeks. She whispered, God kept every word. Later that night, she sat alone, watching the stars. Daniel came and joined her, wrapping his arms around her shoulders. You've done everything they said you would never do, he whispered, and she smiled. And I still feel like I'm just getting started, he asked. So what's next? She looked up at the sky. I want to build a university for girls with free education from nursery to degree level so that no girl who comes from where I came from ever has to beg for opportunity. And so the dream began again. The next chapter. But this time not born from pain, but from purpose. The scars remained, but they no longer hurt. Because every time she looked in the mirror, she no longer saw the girl Raymond lied to. She saw the woman God lifted, a woman who was promised heaven, dragged through hell, and still came out carrying light. The end. Moral of the story. Pain is not the end. It can be the beginning of purpose. Nneka's journey proves that the worst moments of your life can be used by God to shape your destiny. Being abandoned, deceived, and broken didn't destroy her. It refined her and led her to a higher calling. 2. True love is not loud, rich, or flashy. It is faithful, kind, and patient. While Raymond offered fake love wrapped in luxury and lies, Daniel's love came with humility, support, and sacrifice. Real love builds you, not breaks you. 3. Never forget your roots even when you rise. Nneka never abandoned her village, her people, or the girl she once was. As she climbed, she reached back to lift others. 4. Forgiveness is strength, not weakness. She forgave Raymond, not to excuse her actions, but to free herself from the chains of bitterness. Forgiveness gave her peace and power to move forward. 5. You don't need a perfect background to build a powerful future. From selling akara to becoming a global figure, Nneka showed that your beginning does not define your ending. Your choices do. 6. Women are not weak, they are warriors. Nneka, Ifunanya, Sister Ruth, and even Nneka's mother proved that women can rise from betrayal, loss, and hardship to lead, build, and heal nations. 7. Legacy matters more than luxury. Raymond had wealth but lost everything because he built on lies. Nneka built her legacy on love, service, and truth, and it stood the test of time. Please leave a comment, like, and share. And don't forget to subscribe too for more beautiful stories like this. Thanks for watching.